And welcome here to more Talk FCB, and welcome back here to the channel, guys. And in today's video, we are going to be talking about Bartomeu's words in the official interview today with Barça TV. And in that interview, he was asked about many things from Lionel Messi to Ronald Koeman, and we're also going to have today particular emphasis on that squad overhaul. That's what we're driving for right now. That is what we want. Will we get it? Well, let's discuss. Because like I say, Bartomeu today did hold that interview. It wasn't a press conference, it was simply an interview with the club's own TV channel, so it was never going to be a grilling, it was never going to be anything intense, and that's why I was actually debating bringing you this video. I'm only going to bring you the parts of it that are relevant to us, because most of it was absolute nonsense coming from Bartomeu. We know that. But obviously in that interview, he was asked very, very quickly about Ronald Koeman. Is he going to become the Barca coach? We were expecting, of course, for it to be announced today. It hasn't been just yet, but Bartomeu did confirm that providing there are no late problems, Koeman would be the new Barca coach, and he would be confirmed and presented in the coming days. And I did think actually right throughout the interview, it was kind of unprofessional to be talking at length about a coach who you haven't actually announced it. You haven't officially confirmed him as the coach. It's not all signed just yet, but Bartomeu there said that he'd already spoken with Koeman about his plan, about what he aims to do once he arrives at the club, and in particular, his plans, of course, ahead of a summer, which is going to be so quick ahead of this La Liga season, which already is less than a month away. There was also no surprises that during that interview on several occasions too, Bartomeu was asked about Lionel Messi, obviously regarding his future at the club. Is he going to leave this summer? Is there any intention from Messi right now to depart from the club? And each time Bartomeu was asked about Messi, it was always the same answer. Messi is going to stay at the club. Bartomeu said that he believed Messi would retire at the club, and he also said, of course, that he got a contract right now until 2021 with a release clause of 700 million euros. Bartomeu even went as far to say that not only is Messi going to be staying, but also that Bartomeu had spoken with Koeman about Messi, and that Koeman's plan for Barcelona all revolved around the Argentine. So it's interesting there that Bartomeu believes very much so that Messi is going to stay. What I would say, though, is, in that interview as well, Bartomeu said on many occasions that he'd spoken with Lionel Messi's father, but he did admit that he hadn't spoken with Messi since the defeat to Bayern Munich. So how would you know if anything had changed? How do you know right now exactly how Messi is feeling? The answer is, he doesn't. And still, there is silence from the side of Messi. The pressure does remain on. There was also an interesting question there, the way of Bartomeu, basically about the finances of the club right now, the fact the club is not in a good financial position, and in particular, looking ahead to this summer, does the club actually have money to go out into the transfer window and actually spend? And Bartomeu came back with actually quite an interesting admission. He said that, you know what, we do have money to spend, the club does have cash available, but he did say the real problem is wages. Bartomeu there openly admitting that, you know what, the club does have a wage problem, which of course we already knew for a long, long time now. Bartomeu said that right now, given our wage bill, we cannot afford to add to it without significant sales this summer, which, to be honest, was a bit of music to my ears. It's not often that when Bartomeu speaks, I do have a bit of hope, but surely even he knows that in order to strengthen this squad, in order to get back on some sort of the right track, you need to overhaul that squad. You need to get rid of some of the high earners, and what he said next was also interesting. Because right throughout the interview, from the different journalists that were in attendance, like I say, there wasn't too many big questions, there wasn't too many challenging questions there for Bartomeu, but he was asked on a few occasions about different players and their futures at the club, and Bartomeu was quite outright in when he was naming the people who would definitely be staying at the club this summer. He said Messi, Ter Stegen, De Jong, Longley, Semedo, Griezmann, and Ousmane Dembele were all players who would not be leaving this coming summer. And I think that gives a big, big insight into the players who remain as the so-called untouchables. And I'm just wondering there what you make of that list, what you make of the players there who definitely will be staying. Obviously, we have heard in the past few days about Messi, about Ter Stegen, De Jong, Longley. They've been reported in the media as untouchable, but also there adding the likes of Griezmann, Dembele as well to the list. That's interesting. Two players there the club see seem quite keen right now to keep the faith with big money signings. And for me, it's the right decision. When you pay that much money for Dembele, for Griezmann, you've got to see it through. You've got to give them the best chance possible of succeeding, and you can't just let that kind of investment go to waste. But Semedo, that's an interesting name on this list for me. That does surprise me. I'm not saying that he should be out by any means. I'm not saying that he's one of the worst players in the team, but I'm just surprised that Semedo has made his way all the way to that untouchable list. What do you make there of Semedo being involved? And it's not just that either, because obviously there we've got a number of names that Bartomeu says is staying, but it's not just about those names either, because then you start looking a little bit deeper into that at the names that quite clearly he didn't mention as untouchables. Senior players there, like Gerard Piqué, like Sergio Roberto, two players right now who are actually part of the captains at the club. They were not mentioned as untransferable, along of course with the senior players like Jordi Alba, Busquets, Rakitic, Arturo Vidal, Luis Suarez. All of those players, it does seem like, are on the transfer list. Like we said before, the offers have to be there, the offers have to arrive, but it does seem as though if the club can receive offers, we may see some exits this summer. And finally, guys, one of the most intriguing answers of all from Bartomeu, and I do say that lightly because actually there wasn't too many things that he did say which was intriguing, but he was actually asked there about Felipe Coutinho. And in particular, the question was, is there any chance that Coutinho stays at the club for the coming season? And actually Bartomeu said, yeah, he said there is a chance. He said there is a chance that Coutinho could stay at the club. And he actually said there that it's going to be up to Ronald Koeman to decide whether Coutinho is part of his plans for the club. And that's interesting, because given that Coutinho, I think really, since he was signed for that record fee, remember, the most expensive Barca player of all time, he's been rather cast aside by the current board. And I think it's going to be interesting now to see, A, whether Coutinho does have a future under Koeman. Where would he play? Where does Koeman see him fitting into his plans? And if he does find a place, how is he going to perform back at the club, coming back from Bayern, in the way that, of course, this has all ended over the past few weeks? It would be very interesting to keep an eye on. And I'm just wondering there, what would you like to see happen with Coutinho? He's a player that certainly has divided opinion during his Barca career since he's been away as well. Would you like to see him come back and try and fight to be a success in this shirt? Or is it just not going to work? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and also, of course, about those untouchable lists, about the fact that certain players were not on that list. I want to know your thoughts. Because like I say, above everything else this summer, those player sales, that overhauling of the squad, and in particular, the ageing players, that's got to be priority. That has to be key this summer. That's all right now that we're clinging on to. So once again, guys, thanks for joining me on the channel today, and thank you indeed for continuing to get involved in the comments. There's plenty more content coming up on Ronald Koeman, on the tactics we could see, and of course what he's achieved up until now in his managerial career. That's all going to be coming up in the coming days over on Talk FCB and right here. Thanks, like I say, for that support. I'll be back soon, but until next time, as always, Visca! El Barça.